run it by you.
Okay. All right. Oh yeah. Hopefully the temperature's good in here. So here. So hi. Welcome to my very first panel I've ever done in my entire life on this side of the room. So this is going to be, I know it's called From Therianthropy to Furry, or How Did I Get Here? It's not really a Therian panel, but it's definitely going to be a thing. First question is, does anyone know what Therian is? All right, see a few show of hands. So there's some don't really know. Okay. So a Therian is essentially a person who, from a young age usually, they believe that they were born in the wrong body. So in my case, I knew by the time I was in 3rd, 4th grade that I really had more affinity to animals than I did to people. And by the time I hit 6th grade, I knew that, okay, I want to be a wolf. I just want to be a wolf. But yeah, so when I was a kid for a very long time, I was I was bullied in school back 1st, 2nd grade, and I just saw animals, and it's I felt more of a kinship with them than I did with actual people. And from there, and growing up, because growing up, born with ADD as well, so that doesn't help me either. And I just was thinking to myself, what am I from a very young age? And I come to a conclusion that I should have been a completely different thing than I am now, which is I wanted to be a wolf. Around that time, I was also coming to grips with why do I want to see myself as a female? I didn't know. I remember seeing in 4th grade, I was on a field trip in New Hampshire, to Concord, New Hampshire, and I saw one of my classmates in a skirt for the first time. And I said, that looks nice. And then something in my brain clicked. And I went, oh, wonder what it looked like as a girl. So I had these two separate thoughts in my head as a kid. And for at the time, oh my God, this is back maybe 96, 97, I would have all these vivid dreams of changing into animals or into girls. So I remember one time I was in 4th grade, and in Conway, New Hampshire, every winter they do this thing called Polar Express. And I did that in 4th grade. And the next night after that, I had a dream where I was on the Polar Express, but everything from the neck down was a wolf. Which is kind of funny when you think about fursuiters when they take their head off in the headless lounge, right? Foreshadowing much. Anyways, but then by the time I was in 6th grade, I knew I wanted to be a wolf. And then this female thing, I just did not know how to reconcile with my brain. Because I would be, usually be male human to female human. And in some of those dreams, I would see at the end of the dream, after I changed, there's a little wolf growling at me and snarling at me in the background. So I knew something was up and just could not reconcile it. And this was also right around the time I started playing piano. Piano has been a saving grace in a way for me. Because when I was younger, I tried trumpet and recorder, because I think everybody tries recorder, and didn't really jive with me, if you know what I mean. So what I did instead was I saw a piano and went, what can I do with that? And I started learning the basics of how to play piano. I'm like, okay, we can do this. And then I started writing music. More of that later. By the time I had hit high school, I think I spent most of my afternoons not only daydream about being a wolf, but I would actually develop these devices. So I had blueprints. You should have seen it. It was like a collection about this thick, about different machinery, different hardware, different methods of actually changing someone from a human into an animal. And we're talking about like a 3-meter sphere, so about 9 feet tall, all the way around, full of lasers pointing straight in. The problem is that I did the math, and I don't think any of us had like $100 million lying around for fun, so couldn't really do that. It just made me kind of sad. And then I hit high school in about 2002, 2003, and I just figured, I've been doing all this research in the library and stuff. There's this thing called Google now. So I go to the web browser and go, how do I turn into a werewolf? Does this sound familiar to anybody? And I got so many hits. And I think the first one was for this guy, I think it was called Lance Fox, and it was about Therians. And I read it, and it just says, yes, I wanted to be an animal since I was a little kid. And I'm like, wait, there's more people like this? What? But, really? And I read all these stories, and I found all this artwork of anthropomorphic animals. I'm like, whoa, hello. This is different. I didn't even know this existed. We're talking back 2002, 2003 here. But then, so I saw that, I was like, huh, interesting. And then I found out there was this other thing called Furry. How did I get introduced to Furry? Well, you know the thing about the CSI episode? Yeah, that's how I got introduced to Furry. And that was talk of the high school for the rest of the next day. And I'm thinking, people actually do, oh God. Oh, I was kind of wary about that because because here's the thing. A Therian can be a furry. A furry can be a Therian. It does not mean they equal each other. So you can have Therians over here, furries over here. There is a lot of overlap, but not everybody is that. So, oh well. But for me, I was like over here going, I can't imagine being a furry. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So by the time I was a senior in high school, I mean, I knew I wanted to be a wolf. And I made the mistake of telling my mom that. She was the first person I ever told because she said it could go up to anybody. And I learned really quickly that's not what you're supposed to do. Oh, she did. They did not take it well at all. Their 17-year-old son, I'm MTF, it wants to be a wolf. Oh, the amount of therapy I received after that. Oh no, that did not help me at all. And then I get to college, and then the dam broke. At this point, I had started like interacting on IRC. People know what IRC is? Okay, good. All right, so I was on a Therian IRC from like 05 till technically present, but anyways. I went through a lot of like soul searching, trying to figure out what I am. So like everyone's thought of like, who am I? Like what is my place here on this planet? And that is the time when the whole, remember that whole female thing? Yeah, that is when I actually put the puzzle together and went, oh no, I'm trans. That's something that took me forever to come to grips with, and thinking, great, I want to be a wolf, I want to be a girl. I did not sign up for this. So, so at that point, because of all this soul searching, in college my grades slipped, and I actually got suspended from school, which is something I've never actually said before, but yeah, it did happen to me. And I looked at my life and went, man, I screwed up. And I realized I can't do this. I need to actually get my life back on track right now. So after my suspension of 1 semester, I went back to school and I worked my ass off. I actually ended up graduating with a double major in math and computer science at UNH. And while doing that, I worked 2 jobs. So, but more of that later. So, and then right when I started building my life, that's when I started getting phantom limb syndrome. Are any of you familiar with that? Anyone know what? Who doesn't know what that is? Kinda. Okay, so phantom limbs, essentially it's like, take your arm. If this gets chopped off, you can still feel the sensation of the arm, right? All right, now imagine that with limbs that you've never had. So like, for me, I usually get phantom tails and ears. You're probably all wondering, why do I have 9 tails? The answer really is, because I phantom shift 9 tails. That threw me for a loop when I was at 19 years old, going, wait, I thought that wolves only have 1 tail. Oh no. So that led to a whole other thing. And this is also time I was trying to come out of the closet. And I wanted to transition in college. And I found out, nope, that can't happen. Parents are like, nope, you are not transitioning, or we'll cut your funding. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to graduate through college. And I worked my ass off in college, and I actually ran a TV station. I ran a thing called Student Cable Access Network Television. I was the general manager, elected position for that. So I got to run everything. I had access to all the cameras, the production, crews, programming. I could control it all. And I had managers underneath me that controlled budgets and whatnot. At that moment I went, if I keep all this Therian stuff a secret, someone's going to use it against me. So I just make it all wide open. All my friends knew. All of them. Everybody at that station knew. Because I figured, they all know, they can't hold it against me. And I was right. Because they re-elected me for the next year. But no, I did a lot of crazy stuff. And it's still funny because there's an article written about the TV station, and they wrote about me. It said, Bino, my name at the time, he's a really smart guy. He knows exactly what he's doing, can sometimes go over your head with the amount of knowledge he has. But for the love of him, he believes he's a wolf. And they still re-elected me with that article out. Because everybody knew. And I actually used to wear a dog collar starting sophomore year of college. Like a black leather collar, very simple, like $11 at Petco. And I wore that dog collar for the entire time I was in school. And you wore it all the way up till last year, really. Because that was the symbol of something inside of me trying to get out, which was the whole wolf thing. No, 9 tails. So Scan TV was a hell of a ride. Everybody knew. One guy was like, wow, I expected you to howl at one point. And ended up going to Denver, Colorado in '08 to help film one of the political conventions. That was like a moment of, how did I get here? To go from like nearly flunking out of school, getting a double major, running a TV station, and running a seafood restaurant job. And somehow my grades are high, I'm getting paid, and I'm going to film this huge thing. So it's my first how the hell did I get here moment. And in college, funny enough, I was vehemently against furries because I just couldn't grapple. Why would a regular person want to dress up as an animal? Which must have been hilarious now thinking about it, because I wish I could write a, dear Bino, you're not going to believe what happened to you. I graduated college. Yay. I start working. Yay. Did I still wear a dog collar? You bet your ass I did. So, yeah, I wore the same dog collar. I wore it and actually hung my badge on it so I could open the door. One day I actually switched dog collars and people noticed. I bet if I walked into work without a dog collar, the entire company would have come up to me going, what happened? Which is a weird thing if you think about it. Because usually it's the opposite problem. If you walk into work with a dog collar and everyone's going to look at you funny. I had the reverse of that. And I told some of my coworkers about the whole Therian thing, and they're like, huh, that explains the dog collar now. And at the time, so now I have a successful job. I'm working for a huge pharmaceutical company, which I do work for now. And I'm just like, okay, what am I going to do now in my life? Because I would literally go work, come home, and sit on an IRC channel for hours. I really didn't know how to do anything, didn't know how to socialize and do anything. And then in 2011, reconnected with a friend of mine who's called Moot the Malamute. He's based down in New Jersey. He has a dog called Blaze, who's a husky. Actual dog, no. You know what I mean. Have to specify, furry fandom, you never know. Anyways, I met with him at his house in 2011, started chatting. And then he moved over to St. Louis to be with his boyfriend at the time. And at this point in my life, I'm still very not a furry. I go visit him in St. Louis in 2013. And then they're like, oh, we should go to our friend's house. His name is Mr. Wolf. Don't know who that is. He's apparently furry over there. And went over to his house. And he had a fursuit. I had never seen a fursuit in person. And then he goes and gets the fursuit head out of the closet. Looks at me, grabs the fursuit, and just goes, boop. That one moment, I go, this is awesome, where can I get one? In an instant, I became a furry. Because what happened was, I put the thing on, and I looked at the mirror, and for the first time in my life, I'm looking at a face that's not mine. I'm looking at what looks like a wolf face. And when I saw that in the mirror, it all clicked. I went, oh my God, I can show people what I look like. So at that moment, then the next day, I go to a furry's birthday party at the Mad Dog bar, which is now defunct. But it was like about a couple dozen people showed up. So like 30 plus, cake, and like a dozen fursuiters. This is my first time actually seeing fursuiters in action. I'm just like amazed going, wow, they are so freaking detailed. Pictures don't do this justice, do they? Like, whoa, whoa. And then a few months go by. I'm back at home, back in my apartment, and my friend goes, hey, do you want to go to Furry Con? I'm like, where is it? He goes, it's in Connecticut. For reference, I'm in Boston at the time, and Fur Fright, as it was called back then, 2 hours away by car. I'm like, when is it? He goes, next week. Okay. So on that day, I'm running down the highway going, I'm going to a Furry Con. What? What? And I get there, and now all these people I used to talk to in IRC, they're Therians, they were actually at the con, and one of which was there, Running Red. Hi. And like I started meeting all these people, like, oh my God, this is real. And they're seeing all these fursuiters everywhere. I'd never been to a con in my life. People just walking around fursuit, tails on, collars on, ears on. I'm like, wow. This is only 4 miles away from my brother's college, and he never knew. Yeah, my brother went to Wesleyan, literally 4 miles down the road. Like, take a left out of the hotel, boom, you're there. Luckily, he had graduated by that point, so he did not have a clue it was there. Anyways, And I was like, this is incredible. This is incredible. And then a few months go by, and then I met another person at a fur bowl that I went to in 2014, the Mass Fur Bowl number 25. And I got to see more fursuiters. I'm still like, whoa, it's incredible. But then my holy come to, oh my God, what am I doing here moment was Anthrocon 14, which at the time was still the biggest furry con in the world. I did not know this fact. And I get there. I remember to this day walking through a dealer's den. If you've ever been there, essentially imagine the footprint of this hotel is a dealer's den. Okay? It's huge. I'm walking through, I see the throngs of furries out. I'm just like, every single person here's, what am I doing here? Like, how did I get here? Notice the theme, how did I get here? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to get a fursuit now. So like 2 weeks after that con, I ordered a fursuit because I had just finished my last loan payment from college. Yeah, my first fursuit was actually the present to myself for paying off all of my college degree. Yay, I'm a responsible adult. Then I get the fursuit. And I thought this was an interesting roller coaster. No, it was on the kiddie hill. Now it gets weird. I start fursuiting, and I'm noticing, oh yeah, well, kids soon, you're probably wondering why I look like this now, and I'm not a wolf. The answer is pretty simple. So back in 2014, I was starting to actually get art commissioned for the first time, to actually paying for. Because when I was in college, my Therian friends, I had some artist friends that actually drew my wolf called persona myself. It, basically the same thing for me. And so I'm like, yeah, here's the description, because I didn't have a reference sheet. Too new for that. So I had to write out a whole description of what I looked like. So like, you know, the paragraphs you have to write about how you look. Yeah, that's where I was at. And the artist made a mistake. They gave me tan fur in these. And I was like, huh, kitsune, eh? I guess that's easier to say, wolf with 9 tails, so I just rolled with it. And I used that art from 2014 to the present day. That was fun. And then I started going more cons and seeing more people and started meeting a lot of people. I'm like, this fandom is amazing. Like, all these people. And then realizing how many different walks of life are in this fandom. And it's truly shocking how many different walks of life. I've met lawyers, I've met doctors, I've met brain surgeons, I've met pilots, I've met hospital workers, I've met like engineers. I even know a guy who works at YouTube and helps run that section of Google. I know people who are everywhere. And it shocked me. Like, all these different people, all these different backgrounds, everywhere, different ages, what do you name it? We all have this in common. We all want to dress up as animals. And it just blew my mind. Like, there's a community here. It's not really like a fandom. It's more of like a bunch of friends just hanging out is the best way to describe it. And I learned very quickly that if you want to meet a lot of people, you don't stay in one group. No. If you want to meet a lot of people really fast, you know what you do? You bounce around. So what I do at a con is I go from one group, then I go off to the next group and just go, hi, and then just walk over to another one, and I ping ball everywhere I go. I didn't realize what was going to happen, because all of a sudden people started to know who I was. I'm like, oh, this is different. But because I run a TV station for 2 years at college, I'm used to everybody knowing who I am. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this. No big deal. And then about a year after fursuiting, the whole trans part, yeah, it's starting to come back and say, hi. It had been boiling over and over. Only told close friends about it at this point. At A&E 16, my friend comes up to me and goes, Erin, your tracks are showing. I snapped. Like a few weeks later, I just said, hey everybody, guess what? For the last 20 years, I felt like I was a girl. And I had no idea. I was scared to tell anybody about this because the last time I tried to come out, I got a lot of pushback and I was terrified. And I had no idea what to expect when I hit the send button on Twitter. And when I hit send the next day, so many people came up to me and said, hey, good for you, that is amazing. You be you, you should be yourself. And that hit a chord in me. Like I realized I am being myself at these cons. I can just totally be myself. It's the only environment where I can actually just relax, unwind, and be who I am, which includes showing the world what I view of myself inside. And then I started transitioning, and I just pushed it because I realized I should be true to myself and not let anyone else tell me what I can and cannot be. And then I've been on HRT for 2 years now. Back as of April, I've been on for 2 years. And I look nothing like I used to, but I'm a lot happier now that I did. I didn't realize it until I transitioned. I should have done this a long time ago in spite of everybody else because I learned that my sanity was important. And then I realized, wait a minute, how, what? And then starting to go, I was going to a lot of cons and then realizing a lot of people know who I am. What? I just wanted to be like, hey, I'm a pixie. I had no idea what was going to happen to me. This fandom has been one of the biggest rides of my life. And hard to believe, this is number 27. 27th furry con I've been to. And every single one of them have been amazing. And I honestly, I wouldn't trade this fandom for the world. And then, of course, music. I couldn't really do much music when I was working. And then I thought to myself, there's this thing called YouTube. I have a keyboard. I wonder. And I go to a event and they had me play some songs because I saw on my YouTube. And then I get a phone call saying, hey, you should do that Pine Fur Con. That's what I'm doing tomorrow. I have a concert tomorrow and an album. And I still think to myself, how did I get here? It's been a wild ride. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was amazing. Thank you. Wow. So that took only about half an hour. So I'll open up the floor for some questions, if anyone has any, about life in general, transitioning Therians.
So when you were talking about phantom limbs, and you felt the thing with the multiple tails, was that before you learned what a kitsune was?
Yes. So, I mean, I knew about foxes. I had heard some things about kitsune. I didn't really know what the hell it was. And I was just like, wait, why do I have all these friggin' tails? And then found out kitsune, I'm like, but they're a fox base. I'm a wolf. What? Yeah, it confused the hell out of me, but then after, I couldn't really reconcile it being like a wolf, but I had 9 tails.
But you've never heard of them or seen them before? You just
I only heard of them in passing. I had never actually seen one until after I got the phantom limbs. Like, when I first got this fursuit, when I first got into fursuiting, people were like, are you based on Naruto or a Ninetales? I'm like, what's Naruto? I know what it is now, but at the time I was like, huh? It had gone way over my head. No, but yeah, so like well, with suit it's kind of hard to tell, but like when I'm out of suit, I do actually at least once a day, I feel there's multiple tails back there wagging. And usually move in unison like with this thing. I usually refer to my fursuit as prosthetic. There's a reason for that. It's the only time I can look at a mirror and be like, oh, I'm okay with my reflection right now. Any other?
How would you say that your musicianship and like the creative process that goes into music making is connected to the furry fandom?
Well, the furry fandom has definitely given me an outlet, that's for sure. When I started writing music, I was just trying to like find some creative way, like use my artistic side of my brain and put it to some good use. The album I made, really furries have enabled me to actually do music again. Like I honestly never thought I'd get back to music after college. And then when all of a sudden it's like, try it, let's see what happens. Because I'm thinking, what's the worst that could happen? No one pays attention to it, no biggie, I don't care. So I just put my phone up, set my piano, and I just played. I think I played Hue by Night Noise was the name of the song. I had to pull it down, but anyways, I played that and people noticed it, and I'm like, okay, there's onto something. Then I did another video, Dragos.Inte, aka Numa Numa. Yes, I know how to play that whole song by piano. And it's hilarious. And that got even more responses. They did one of my own songs, and it just kept escalating. Then eventually Khan came up and said, hey, can you do like a 30-minute concert for us, please? I'm like, oh, okay. And I went and I did the thing, and then someone was like, you need to do this at Pine Fur. So I'm like, all right. So I've submitted the panel thinking no biggie, and they're like, yeah, you're on main stage now. Oh dear. And then from that moment I went, I should do something. I knew I could write music. Because when I was a teenager, I actually wrote a few songs. So I figured, I know I can do this. Let's see what happens. And I actually cranked out like 9 brand new songs over the course of 3 months. Usually the process is come up with either a chorus or a theme and take it and then add components to it, like all in the same key. And then you have A section, chorus, B section, chorus, ending, coda, whatever. And I built a whole bunch of songs on that theme. And actually, here's a little sneak peek. If any of you have the CD, if you look at track 4, it's called Fire and Ice, which my lovely boyfriend named. And the original name of that one was called Mouth. And there's a reason for that. If you listen to the track, you're going to hear this da 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 through the entire song. That motif is this. If you listen to it carefully, it literally goes. I figured out what those sounds are in piano, and I use that as the backing track for a 5-minute long song. So, in a way, that song is written directly because of those noises. And those noises are not new at all. I started making noises like that in college. So I started making those noises well before I was into fursuiting, like by nearly a decade. So I was well versed in them before I even started. But no, that was a good question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions on the floor?
Did you ever receive any pushback from management for the collar?
One time, because the bigwigs were showing up and I had to change it out. So I switched to a metal chain collar, like a choker, and they were fine with it. So that's the only time. But they were just curious. I'm just like, does it say anything in the handbook about collars? It's technically a necklace. So I just figured I'd roll with it because I'd always been wearing it. So at this point, I've probably worn a collar for about over a third of my lifespan so far. So it was just part of me for a long time. But yeah, that is a good question. Any other ones?
CD?
Oh, that's a good question. So CDs, you can get them at the con store. They're selling for $15. A portion of that goes directly to the charity. They're selling them all weekend. I brought a whole case of them. And if you want to buy them outside the con, I will be posting them to Bandcamp. If you follow my Twitter, it will be a link will be posted directly there to buy more of them. And there's also a digital download too, if you don't have a CD player. Because in this day and age, you never know. Thank you. Any other questions? Did you raise your hand? No. None? All right, well, let's see how much time we got. Oh, I actually have some time. So, have any of you bought any CDs?
Yes.
If you want them signed, I have a little pen right here. So, I guess for the rest of the time, if you bring up your CDs, I'll sign them for you.
Thank you.
And anyways, thank you so much for coming to the very first panel. I hope you have a lovely convention, and tomorrow at 3:30, I'm on main stage for the Dreamworld concert. So I hope to see you all there.